being this meeting.
There's a YouTuber show.
Everybody, we are live. All is good to go. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank
Thank you.
JP. Congratulations, Justine, and the district clerk, Carrie's going to swear you in now.
Okay, so if you wouldn't mind standing up, please, face me and raise your right hand. You, Justine O'Mara Livonia, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of an East Hampton Union Free School District Board of Education member according to the best of your ability. I do. I will. Okay. On your book. And we'll be all set. Thank you.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Before we move on, and I do want to thank the other two folks that applied, put their name in the ring, Jerry Simon and George Amon. Appreciate your stepping forward, and the board thanks you, and the community thanks you. And don't lose sight of maybe coming back. So that is it. I'm going to move back again. The news of the schools, and I'll turn it over to the superintendent. Go ahead.
The schools, perhaps, James, would you mind starting, please?
Sure. Nothing new's happened with us. Everything's fine here. Obviously, we're unfortunately closed for the remainder of this week due to some students who have had COVID. All of the students who were, I just want to give the nurses a lot of credit. They've been working really hard this week in terms of contact tracing, calling the DOH. I mean, they've really done, an amazing job and really been on top of everything, it's been definitely a bit of a daunting task. Everything seems connected to, a gathering that happened within the community. The DOH has been responsive. They pretty much cleared us, but we are being safe. So we're being closed for the remainder of the week. We do have parent-teacher conferences that are going on today. Actually, would have finished up about a half hour ago, and also tomorrow. We've reached out to all of the teachers to get information, regarding contact tracing for students. We have reached out to students who are in the class, obviously not sharing names. So everyone who's in the know is in the know. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been an interesting week. I will say that we've been tested, and I would so far so good. I think the precautions that we have taken have stopped spread from happening within the building. So there's somewhat of a silver lining to all of this.
James, if I could just join in at this point, please, and just I'd just like to make a request of parents and guardians to really be careful. We're in a slight uptick now. Since the beginning of the school year, we're up to 24 cases that either have been positive, 12 have been positive, another 12 are under quarantine because of close contact. It's just so important to please monitor the whereabouts of your children that are in your care. I know it's so difficult. I had 5 of my own kids who went through school here, and just holding the line sometimes almost seems like an impossible task. But from what the Department of Health is telling us is that we're doing everything possible. The fact that we can reopen again is showing that our social distancing, mask use, and plastic barriers is really working. And with all the reporting, the reports are tremendously onerous. And I would like to thank again, as James did, the nurses for all their diligence and thoroughness, and the amount of contact and communication with families and students is absolutely enormous. But we're I think hopefully on Monday we're going to be ready to go again with our cohort model. But we just really need some help from the community. So I would really appreciate it. And our hearts go out to the kids. What can I say? None of us want this experience for them. And, you know, hopefully we round the corner soon. What can I say?
Rich, can I ask a question? Just a couple questions. First of all, I just want to say thank you very much to the amazing job that Wendy and Lorraine and the nurses have done here. I'm so impressed with everything, and the fact that we were able to limit the spread and have no school, no evidence of any spread within the school is amazing. So thanks to all of you, and to James and to Adam and to you for what a good job you did on this. And I think that for me as a parent, this really, I think that it's a wake-up call for our whole community. I think people are saying, like, oh, look, see what happened at the high school. The truth of the matter is this happened in the community. It started in the community. And I think it's a wake-up call for this entire community. I just saw in the newspaper today that poll workers in Southampton tested positive. So it's here and people need to be careful. I want to ask one other question. I brought this up and I'm happy to delay this for another part in the board meeting, but if we could talk about it now. I've brought up testing a number of times. And I know we have Southampton that's been very accommodating to us, and we have the tent here. And I just wanted to talk further about our ability to do more samples and more surveillance testing within the district, and understanding that we can't enforce it, but to have, invite people to do surveillance testing, and where we are on that right now.
Adam, you want to pick up that piece, please?
Let me unmute. So right now, we have a trailer coming for from the hospital. The hospital has committed to stay at East Hampton for the remainder of the year. Wendy is working on testing protocols and that we can use with our students and families. I was contacted by a number of families regarding opening up more testing. They're reaching out. I think there's definitely, like Jackie said, it's definitely a good idea for people who are willing to do it, because it seems like we have a number of people in the community who are definitely interested in getting tests. And especially with the little uptick that we're seeing now, I think it would be a great idea. Again, Wendy's working on that. She speaks to Maria Lessie at the hospital, and we'll be ready to go. As soon as they're set up in the trailer so they don't freeze, they'll be really ready to take on more people. They're looking to test more people. And again, the testing is at no cost. If you have insurance, it covers it. There's no copay. The hospital has also waived the fee for anybody who doesn't have insurance. So nobody should be afraid to go and get tested if they don't have insurance. They're really working with us and trying to open this up to more people.
So, I mean, my hope is that, Adam, is that as soon as we have that ability, that we're able to set up a clear schedule so that we know we'll test whatever, 50, 60 kids a week, that we invite them to be tested, and that we can catch it. I've said this before, my daughter's in college, she gets tested 3 times a week. And frankly, I think it's the best way to keep our school open.
Yeah.
How busy are they?
They're actually, it's hard for me to put it, to actually know how busy they are, but from what they have told me is they can expand their capacity. They want to do more testing. That was directly from them to me. They were doing at some point over 60 to 70. I've heard it as high as 80 something a day. They could take more though. They will also make time for us. If we, like Jackie said, if we're able to put together a testing schedule, they will allocate certain time for us for our kids to go there. So meaning if they have to expand their hours, if they start early, they were definitely open to do any of that for us. They're greatly appreciative of us allowing them to utilize the space and want to make sure it's mutually beneficial to our kids in our community.
All right, just one other point. We got that there so we can enable people to get tested. We don't have to force anybody to get there unless somebody tests positive, and then we can. Is that right?
No,
No?
no.
Yes, no, wait, what?
We can't force,
We can't force the
but
Department of Health
people-
to tell them that they have to be tested.
Right.
before
But
they
you
come back to
can't
school.
call a number and you can request a
If
test.
somebody comes in here with a temperature,
Yes.
okay, what do we do?
It's a contact number, they go home, and there's a contact number they call and ask to schedule an appointment.
Okay.
Because you still need a prescription, don't you?
No, because
All of our kids have general orders, physician's orders.
But people in the community need to have, to schedule there, they have to have a
Yes.
prescription from their doctor
Yes.
for it.
our students use that.
Okay, yeah, like a
We have
blind kid.
Yes,
All right,
blind
and that kid that had the temperature, if he chooses not to get tested and he comes back and doesn't have a temperature.
He's not allowed
it's okay,
that.
right?
Can't come back. Can't come back without.
He needs a doctor's note. His
Doctor's note.
personal physician has to bring it.
Okay.
He needs a doctor.
All right.
Well, and to be clear, if somebody wants to get tested, because there's now the travel regulations in New York, if you need to get tested, you need to take, depending on where you're going, how you do it, you may need it before you go and when you get back. So that's an asset to our community to have it there, frankly, because that's gonna become more and more common.
Yeah.
But you don't have to wait for us to put a group together to go get tested. If you want to get tested, call, make an appointment and get tested. You don't need anything special for it. You do need to call and make an arrangement with them. I don't know if they'll ask you for a prescription from your doctor, but that's up to you to get. But you don't have to wait for us to do it. You can do it on your own at any time. And you should, if you want to.
Correct.
And there, is that, and for parents, any parents or community members that are watching, so who, if a parent wants to get their child tested, how do they know what number? Should they call up
Call the school
Green
nurse.
Talmadge and?
Call the
Karen?
school nurse, Green
Okay.
Talmadge.
And the public can call, I think it's the Meeting
Yes.
House Lane Medical's,
Right.
Montauk office,
Correct,
but the public would have to have a prescription.
correct. Correct.
And their tests are free or no? Or is it just the
Same
staff and
thing, right?
students?
From what I'm hearing, Adam, just clarify that, please. Community member, would they have to pay?
They're using insurance, they don't have.
The only thing we've inquired about is our students. So I do not have the answer to that, but I believe they would. I don't know if there are students, if our kids have to be tested and they feel like they need to test the parents and they don't have insurance, I can inquire and find out about that.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
I have one more question to James. Does BOCES, when our kids are not in school, BOCES is not, kids don't go to BOCES?
Yeah, that's an arrangement with BOCES. If any school is closed due to COVID, the school district sending the students can't go to BOCES. BOCES is aware. There's no negative impact, to our students. But unfortunately, that's the way it is. So everyone's safe.
All right, thank you.
I actually have a question in regards to the trailer that's coming in and the testing that's being done. Is rapid testing going to be an option, or is it only the one that you have to mail out and you have to wait a couple days for?
They're only doing PCR training, the one you have to wait for.
But the good news
It's
is,
coming a little quicker.
yeah, it's coming with
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
it's Southampton's test and Southampton's lab, so they have control over it, which
Right.
is good because it's also.
The accuracy
People
level.
made an announcement this morning that they're having problems with the rapid testing. They're
Yeah,
getting a
they
lot
have
of
False
Yeah.
positives.
false positives.
Yeah.
Yeah, the PCR is the better one, and they can be anywhere from 24 to 48 hours to get the results back, which is great.
It's been pretty quick though, because I know some community members have had tests, and I know some students, and it's been pretty fast from what I've seen and heard.
Karen, welcome aboard as principal to the first board meeting.
Thank you.
Oh,
Hi, everybody.
You're still.
I'd like to echo the gratitude to our school nurses, the time that they've spent with families and the staff. Each situation has its own little unique piece to it, and I just want to echo those sentiments and thank the nurses for all their hard work. And I'd like to share this week, our all-school meeting on Friday is going to be celebrating our veterans. And for those of you who've been to John Marshall in the past for the celebration, it's going to look a little different this year. But please know that all of the students and the staff, their hearts and souls are going into the all-school meeting on Friday. It will be recorded and posted both on the website and sent to the American Legion and the VFW. There'll be a beautiful slideshow and hopefully some nice surprises in the presentation too. So I thought I would share that with you all.
That's great. Thank you for continuing that.
Okay, and
I
so,
think we're good. Chief.
No middle school?
No.
What about Joe?
What about Joe? Yeah.
Joe later?
Joe, we can,
Sure.
yeah, you can do Joe now.
Yeah. Joe? Joe Boss?
Did you want to talk now about that or?
Later.
Yes, sure.
Yes?
That's fine.
Okay, terrific. We had an athletic committee meeting this past week. And in the discussion, I had asked to have a discussion regarding allowing the kids to come and work out indoors now that the weather is changing, specifically basketball. We are scheduled to start winter sports January 4th. We are waiting for recommendations and guidance from Governor Cuomo, but we are scheduled to start and schedules are out. So I was hoping to allow kids to start working out indoors, social distancing, of course, using the baskets and giving it the opportunity to come inside with small groups. And I just wanted to ask the board permission to do that moving forward.
And I was at the athletic committee meeting as a member, and I'll just state, and other members, I think it's good to have the whole board discussion. My own view is no on that. Talking to members of the community who have worked with the task force, Suffolk County Health, it seems as though the largest spread among students in Suffolk County has all been related to athletic events, indoor athletic events. So my own opinion is no. Sorry to all the kids. It's disappointing, but I don't think it's the time to do it.
But we got, so you're saying if we vote on that, you're a no vote?
Absolutely.
Okay, Joe, if we started the winter season, all right, is it necessary that we start practicing basketball now? So this is not necessary. So when the winter season starts in the beginning of January, there'll be enough time to get practice in or not?
There's 6 days that we would have before we start the season. That's what required. The problem, John, is normally these kids are working out, but there's no place to work out because
Are they working out outside at all, Joe? Or no, they're not?
They're doing a little bit, Jackie, but as you know, the weather's changing. So it's starting to limit for them. And so that has become the problem.
And we did get an email from a coach, staff member, asking just exactly what Joe is asking for. Joe, is this something that you, because in the email, it was talked about doing it in shifts, I think with 8 kids per basket. Am I right in the gymnasium at one time? Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What you would recommend if you were to recommend?
Yeah, we would like to have no more than 8 kids in the gym. The coaches would do shifts so they can accommodate their team, not at the same time, of course. We are doing, we have phys ed inside now when it is very bad weather and we follow the guidelines. We'd like to do the same thing with basketball. So yes, I would ask that we would keep the group small, no more than 8 in the gym, let them work out. It's not scrimmaging, JP, it's doing individual drills, ball handling and shooting. It's not contact.
It's not close contact, guarding each other, that type of thing. That's not happening.
None of that.
How about showers and locker room, Joe?
No.
There's no shower and locker room available, and there will be no showers and locker room when we start on January 4th either.
If you have 8 kids in a gym, in my opinion, and you can do it safely and we're allowed, I'm okay with
Are
it.
they
What
gonna,
other sport?
are they gonna
What
keep them
about-
in certain?
What other winter sports are there?
Right, is volleyball going to ask, and like, are there different sports that?
Volleyball is a spring, is a, well,
Volleyball got moved to the fall, which is now, I'm sorry, the spring and March.
Right.
So I would focus just on the basketball right now. Wrestling can do the conditioning they're doing. I would not start actual wrestle practice, but they can definitely do conditioning, which they're continuing to do now anyway.
Conditioning
The
where?
bas- Sorry,
Where are they doing conditioning?
they've been outside. Okay, they've been outside.
So the only ones indoor would be basketball,
Correct,
boys and girls.
correct. And we would divvy up the time.
With the gym?
No.
No, they would have the entire gym for the 8 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they would have to
How
work
about
it out.
middle school, Joe?
No.
And
So just
obviously,
varsity level?
I'm sorry?
high
Just
school.
varsity level
High
or high
school.
school level?
Yeah, just high school level right now.
they have to wear masks, of course.
Yes, they have to wear masks, they have to practice social distancing, keep the group small, or keep the doors open in the gym.
Mhm.
We could do 1 ball to a kid, we can do single-use equipment. all the things we try to do in phys ed now.
Question, yeah.
That's a good question.
You're gonna keep the cohorts like the Monday, Tuesday group and the Thursday, Friday group that you do outside now?
Yes,
So if you're not in school, you don't have practice.
that's right.
Okay. So that keeps the group small again, even smaller.
Yeah, and no bigger than 8. So if we have a Monday, Tuesday group and there's 16 kids, that coach has to go, an hour with each group.
Okay. And I mean, if the kids can, and listen, I know we're sort of asking the question, something we have no control over, but if they can just work with us too, and make sure they wear their masks, and make sure that they do what we ask, space out, when they walk out of the gym, don't all huddle up together. Just be conscious of what you're doing, and I think that we can get through this if we're careful. But when people are not careful, it's gonna not work. So if they're gonna buy in and say yes, I personally would support you.
I would support it if at any point some kids start to come down with problems, we're gonna do temperatures and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, they're screened when they come to school. Yep. They're screened when they come to school, John. I'm going to end the outdoors right before Thanksgiving. So, maybe give it another week or so, then we'll come indoors.
How did that work out, Joe? Good?
It's been great. It's been really great. The weather, sometimes we've canceled when we've had to, but when we've had it, the turnout's been good. Kids have been terrific. It's really nice to see them out there. Obviously we shut down this week. And we added Saturdays, which we haven't been able to do yet because we did shut down this week. And the kids were really grateful.
Anybody else want to chime in too, give their opinion? Jackie's a no. Is anybody else a no? Or no?
I'm not a hard no and I'm not a hard yes.
I just want to keep an eye on it.
But I would go.
I just find it totally bizarre. I gotta just say, I find it totally bizarre that when we're in the middle of a major upswing in our community right now, and when, Bess Rattray, who tracks all the school cases for Suffolk County for the Department of Health, says that, there's a lot of cases linked to indoor athletics that we're doing this now.
So do you have a number, Jackie, like of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'll get it for you.
Okay.
But a significant portion of the cases.
We have an indoor gym and indoor school.
Phys ed, we're having phys ed inside.
So are we stopping that too? I mean, you gotta crack the valve a little bit, and if it doesn't work, we can pull it back, but.
That's right. That's where I'm at.
I don't want to just say no, and 8 kids in a gym, I don't know that, I'm not saying it can't happen, but. What's that?
How many are in a gym class inside?
You're looking at about 10 to 12 kids in a half a gym.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we're
this
like
is
more
even
than
more
doubling the
distant.
space of kids. I mean, I understand what Jackie's saying,
Yeah.
but I also, listen,
But JP has said it too. We're gonna try it, but we will need cooperation,
yes.
that everybody tries to be safe, the students.
And if they're not
Have to help us
responsible, we
out
will
here.
pull it. That's all. But give them a chance.
Yep.
Give them a chance.
I say, let's try it.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, we had the same kind of reservations about gathering the sports teams outside.
Yeah, we had this exact same
And
conversation.
it was successful.
Right.
If when that happened, all of a sudden we had problems, we would have stopped it.
Yeah.
And we can do the same thing with this.
And swimming's been going very well also. And we have about 8 or 9 kids in the pool for an hour, which is below not only our guidelines, but the Y guidelines. And we've had no issues there either. And no locker room use there either.
And they're indoors.
And they're indoors.
They keep the.
That's smaller than the
doors
gym.
open and Stuff, right?
And smaller than the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference?
Okay.
Okay.
Good. All right. So that's wrapped up in the schools.
Yeah.
So just you give me permission to let the coaches start?
Yes, with those guidelines that you and we outlined, yeah.
Okay, so Rich, when I get a chance, I'll send you a schedule and we'll go
And
from
we're
there.
just talking about basketball for now, right?
Just basketball.
Okay. And then so there's,
Capped at 8, wearing
right,
masks.
yeah,
Yes, yeah, everything we talked about.
and get, yeah, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Public comment. Matt, do we have anybody on the phone for public comment at this moment?
Well, JP, one just rang in.
All right,
Perfect
Go ahead.
timing.
When you're ready, let it go.
And caller, you are live.
Hello?
Hello.
Good evening. You can just state your name and district of residency, we'd appreciate it.
I had trouble hearing that. Did you ask for my name? It's Conrad Jordan.
Okay, that and your district of residency would be appreciated.
I was calling to comment on the basketball, which is this at the middle school or at John Marshall?
High school.
High school.
Oh, it's at the high school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, I happen to be a trial attorney, and I was interrupted in a very lengthy trial by COVID. And as a result of that, and also the need to get back into the courtroom, I did become rather immersed in the whole issue of COVID, transmission. And, I think by now everybody realizes the whole surface and touching thing is basically a non-factor, as is outdoor. Now, when it comes to indoor, the real key, aside from maintaining some distance and maintaining less density or occupancy, which I heard you address with the number of students in the gym, the missing piece a lot of times is just ventilation. It's just not allowing, these COVID aerosols to accumulate because nobody's moving the air. If you're not going to move it, then you better use a UV light or a purifier. So with the gym, I would just recommend that, you keep some doors open, maybe have one of those large fans and just periodically, just move the air. But, I think that would help. I think that would, with the density and the mass, if you just don't let the air stagnate, I think it'll be ultra safe.
Yeah, good.
We agree. We agree.
Appreciate your comment.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And anyone else?
That's going to be it.
Yeah, we have a second.
Give it a second.
Comment
Yeah.
period coming up in a little bit.
Okay, so the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I make a motion. Second.
Take one, Carrie.
And all in favor?
I see Tim's resigned.
Yes. Losing us by.
Okay. Any opposed? Bring up my game, John, I'm sorry.
I'm just thinking.
Superintendent report and recommendations, which will go on to item 2, because we covered item 1 already. Number 2, recommended the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that Sarah Donlin is, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, appointed to a secondary special education position for the mathematics special class limited extension as a lead replacement, commencing November 12th, 2020 through the remainder of the 2020-21 school year at the annual salary base of $56,039. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Second.
And discussion?
Who she replacing something?
A math teacher. I'll just keep that confidential. I'll tell you.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 3, recommended that the board approve the following appointments for the 2020-21 school year. The BLC facility at the hourly position professional rate of $75.35 per hour. And am I missing anything?
Yes.
Down to additional teaching sections for Douglas Milano, math teacher, at $22,579. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
We have to add sections for spacing for.
That was done already. It's
Okay.
just an amendment in terms of the salary.
Okay.
This was already. Actually, reorg meeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
The teachers moved on the salary guide. It's all tied in with their credits.
Right.
And so
And
it
as
had
the
to be-
schedule
had to be-
changes.
And those 2 teachers happen to be the ones that moved, that they need to be adjusted accordingly. Okay.
Perfect, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Number 4, recommend the board approve the following agreement between the East Hampton Union Free School District and the YMCA East Hampton Rec Center for the purpose of district's student athletes participation in swim practice, which became effective October 13th, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, in accordance with the terms and conditions set forth in said agreement. Can I have a motion?
I make it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? It's a standard.
Standard, and we're catching up as we started, as Joe said, and it's working very well.
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 5, recommend the board adopt the proposed budget calendar for the upcoming 2021-22 school year. Can't get into that, so. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Carrie, have we seen the budget calendar? Did you email it? Yes. Okay. It's in your, it was in your packet that I mailed out on Friday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 6, recommend the board approve the tax levy for the East Hampton Union Free School District, the 2020-21 school year in the amount of $54,565,199.60. This amount includes the East Hampton Library tax levy of $1,411,479.60 for the 2020-21 school year. Can I have a motion?
I make it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Standard for.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the numbers that were in our budget. Right?
Get ready for budget season.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, that was short. Not
Yes.
that short.
Yep.
Not complaining either. Moving on to old business.
Okay, just as a point, Justine, you see those committee meetings?
Yes.
Okay?
We're going to schedule the practice committees.
They're available for you to attend or not attend.
Yes.
We actually have to figure out which one Wendy was on. I know Carrie has the list. She has to tell me which one's on.
I can be in touch with Justine tomorrow.
Perfect.
But any other one you want to come to,
You're welcome to.
Yeah,
Right.
they're open meetings, so anyone from the community is allowed to attend.
Anything on the old business, Rich?
No.
All right. New business. Go ahead.
I think, we are, again, in-person instruction is very important to us. We know it's the right thing to do for our students. I think the first step in that is actually getting a sense from the parents who is going to still opt out and remain purely remote, because then we can start our planning of how we move forward. So James and Karen, if you wouldn't mind speaking to, did you send a survey out yet? And what are the parameters? And just to make sure parents understand what's being required.
So I sent the survey out a few days ago. I can't remember the date. Honestly, it's been so crazy with all the COVID stuff, but it's due on or about the 8th. On the survey, it's a 20-week commitment that we're looking at versus the 10-week commitment. And just like Rich said, it's tough to plan different versions of how we want to do things going forward unless I kind of have that number stabilized, because there definitely could be significant movement with that number. In that, because we have discovered, looking at the data, that there is a difference. There's in terms of the outcomes for our students who are full remote learning versus not, even with some variability within E&L and special ed in particular. So, within the survey, with the commitment, I kind of make the parents aware of that, and also what steps are really important to take if they're going to choose it, because the reality is, for some people, they need to choose it. It's a tough situation. If you have a family member who, for whatever reason, may be at risk, for COVID and the outcomes from it, I totally understand why someone would go full virtual or full remote. We just want to make sure that they do that and take that decision very seriously and make the proper steps, if they are, going to go that route. So that went out to the community. I'm looking to have that back on the 8th. I've sent it out a couple of times now. I haven't looked. I think the last time I looked, we had 80 some odd responses versus the 200, total. We have full virtual now. So I don't anticipate it's going to be as high as it was, but it's going to be easily upwards of 100, probably 150, I think, when it's all said and done. But I wanted to make sure that the community was aware and was making an informed decision. I do know that, just anecdotally, that there have been some parents who have made a decision because their child feels it might be easier, and I thought it was important that they know that it may not be easier, and they need to make proper steps if they're gonna make that decision.
And Karen, you're in a different time frame because of the trimesters. So
Yes.
are you planning on sending out a survey for parents also?
We're ready to send out our survey tomorrow. We really wanted to wait until after this meeting because we'd like to ask parents and families to commit, if they are going to take the remote option, to let us know when we send out this commitment form, so that we kind of close the remote learning option with this commitment form, at least to the end of the second trimester. We will send out a survey again for the third trimester, but the remote classrooms at the elementary level are not only amazing, but they are functioning like a true classroom setting. And it is almost disruptive when kids are coming in and out of that remote setting. They lose the ability to create themselves a cohesive group. So we'd like to preserve the classroom feeling of those remote classrooms and ask that families really consider, when they're making the decision, when we send the survey out tomorrow, and if they would like to choose that remote option, that they're choosing that for the entirety of the second trimester, and that you cannot opt into remote learning after the commitment form, barring any extenuating circumstances.
I have a question for both James. In this survey, opting out, are you asking for the rest of the year?
Yeah.
And why shouldn't we? Yes, you don't have to opt out for the whole year, but are you planning to opt out, and Karen, in your case, for the second trimester? And why can't you say, and what about the third one? Or yes, no, or maybe?
I don't want to, speak for the entire community, but I think there's a lot of hope out there that for us at John Marshall, by that third trimester, we will be in a different situation and hopefully have more of our kids, back in the building. So again, we are on a different calendar, so we can plan by trimester as long as we're getting that information, back in time.
All right, I have one other question. At the elementary school, how many kids have opted out?
Oh, John, now you're really testing me. I couldn't give you an accurate number at this point, but our classrooms vary. I know our third grade remote class has about 10 students, and our second grade class I think has 16 or 17. So it definitely varies by grade level.
Okay, what about the middle? We don't know the middle school. Charles is not here.
No.
James, how many opt out at the high school?
Last time I checked, we had 194 who have opted out for the first 10 weeks. To answer your question, I think you asked, about the full year or not. And I kind of go along with Karen. It's a tough decision for families. And, on some level, it is kind of subtracting a little bit of hope. For me, in terms of planning, 20 weeks is reasonable. I don't need to go out the full year, in terms of planning. I could kind of replan down the line, as needed. And I know some parents have reached out, and I understand it. It's a tough decision if you have a child who may be struggling a little bit in the full remote, but you want to have some hope that maybe things will change by April. So I think 20 weeks is good enough for my purposes in terms of planning, and I think for some families it is stretching a little bit. So it's kind of finding the right balance.
All right, and do we have any kind of a waiting list for somebody that wants to come in? In other words, suppose people say, I've opted out, now I want my kid to come in. Well, we don't have any room. Do we have anybody like that anywhere?
We didn't give that.
We're not giving that option.
There was no option that way.
You take the whole time.
This is why we're re-surveying.
Commit to the whole time.
Nobody had that option.
Okay, suppose in your survey, James or Aaron, you get too many people coming back in.
Well, that's all part of that's why I want to know the number, because that impacts the planning. I mean, if we left everything exactly the way it is right now, I could accommodate everyone, coming back in. When we start talking about bringing kids back, however we're going to do that, then it's important that I know the numbers, because when I run it, it does make a difference depending on the number of kids who opt out. So that's why, in terms of any changes, we need to know that. There's nothing holding a child or a family from coming back in. We accept them with open arms, obviously. To me, that it's the preferred way of instructing. But at the same time, there's some people who need it. So, the option's there. So anyone, go ahead. So anyone can opt out. That would kind of be the way it's going to go. But you are making that commitment.
At the high school level, it's a little different to opt out because all teachers are live streaming, where at the elementary level, there are, specific classrooms assigned to, be a virtual classroom. And we will just need to get creative with space. If the students who are on remote are opting to come in, we will have to restructure and get creative with space, which is just why we need the survey information back.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just the middle school is going to move in the same direction that we just spoke. There'll be a survey that's sent out, and we'll wait to hear from parents and community members.
Okay.
Next thing, I think the board wanted to have a discussion in terms of how we move forward. I know there's definitely concern about community involvement, parent involvement. There's a lot of very difficult and challenging decisions that we want to hear from the parent and community. So we're kind of trying to figure out what the best way of structuring our board meetings. I know there's been upsetment about community members being able to communicate adequately. So we're trying to work that through. And I think we'll just have a general discussion about that.
And so everyone knows that's watching the live stream on YouTube. I was in the store the other day and somebody said to me, I was trying to text you guys a message on YouTube Live. And I'm like, well, sorry, but I didn't even know A, was an option, and B, we don't see it. So no one answers those questions. So know that, I don't know that somebody maybe LTV can turn off that feature, so it's not there. It might just be an oversight. I don't know.
They did turn it on.
They may have eventually. That's very possible. But please know that you can't do that. The board is sort of talking about trying to figure out how to let the public be a part of the meeting like it used to be. I mean, nothing's like it used to be, but trying to sort of get a safe way to let people come into our meetings. And obviously we can't do it here if we're going to do that. It's too small. Our administrators are not, for the most part, not even here. The principal level they're Zooming from home or wherever they are. So it's something that we have to think of the safety of our board members. There's, people that have different issues. You have, family members or yourself, whatever. And I don't want anybody to be left out or put into a position where they can't adequately speak. And that goes for the public as well. If you have a question, we want you to be able to call in. It kind of works. It's not the best. It's the best that we have. And we're talking about maybe at the next board meeting, which will be
so it's the 4th today, will be the 18th.
Will be the 18th. Okay, the next board meeting, we're going to kind of try to get a timeline. And the reason I think we should wait a little bit personally is because we have a slight uptick in COVID cases. So I don't want to go this direction, head on. So let's just see what we can do at the next board meeting. I'd like to open it up to the public a little more. We've had a general discussion, just about it, and everybody has a little bit of a different feel. I want everybody to feel comfortable, us, the community, because we can't move without the community anyway. So it's important that everybody has, their opinion heard. Whether we agree or disagree, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We need to be heard.
So we know that we are looking to bring more live instruction, get the kids back in school. We're trying to do that. If we could accommodate everybody and do it safely, we would do that, right? But before we do that, and we will not do that until what? The end of January.
End of January.
So I believe that before we do that, we've got to give the community the staff, the parents, the community a better chance to talk to us than this act.
Well, the staff does, and the staff has their principal, the staff has their superintendent, their union. They should go that way.
Last board meeting, people couldn't even get to us, right?
Yeah.
So,
And we don't want.
and yet, if for us to have a live meeting and bring people in, it could be dangerous. There could be too many.
Well, we just need to be able to, have time to figure out how to do it properly. I think that's the main
And we
thing.
can limit the amount of
Yeah.
people in a meeting.
Yeah, we can do it.
We can control it. We have to figure out, but we can control it.
Yes.
We just have to
Excuse
set
me,
our.
school board.
Yes.
Just to let you know, in talking about public comments, you do have one person on the line when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Matt.
No, we have to figure it out. I mean, there's a way, there are protocols that have to be done. We just have to figure out and set them up and find a space that everybody can.
If I don't want to speak out of turn because everybody here is got the equal say, but I think that's the direction we're trying to go is to get it to a point where maybe it's the auditorium, maybe it's the gym. I don't know where it is, but we're trying to get to the point where we can do that. And anybody that doesn't feel comfortable can still Zoom in. The Zoom and the video chat will always be an option, whether it's calling in on, the phone to the YouTube live, or if it's our board members and staff members Zooming in, or if it's us sitting here and a couple, members of the public come in. I'm an in-person sort of person. I don't like doing things over the phone. I don't like doing them over video chat. Sometimes you don't have a choice and you have to be safe. I would prefer to do it in person. I know not everybody here agrees with that. And some people have real good reason not to. And I respect that. But we do need to sort of change the way we're doing things a little bit. It's being done other places.
Right.
And maybe we can watch how other places are doing it and sort of make ourselves, I think our auditorium holds 800 people. We know we can't have 800 people. I believe we're allowed to have 50 if I'm not mistaken. I don't even really want 50. Frankly, we've never had 50 people at a board member meeting in recent years that I can remember. It's been a while. We've had close.
But, all right, but if we were gonna decide to bring the senior class back, or have the 6th grade in the middle school be active, or the 8th grade active, we would announce that and we would allow input.
Yes,
And
correct.
I don't think,
Correct.
last board meeting, we floated these ideas, and I think people were upset because they didn't feel they had.
And they
input.
couldn't ask questions.
We're gonna allow input
Yeah.
some way.
Correct, yes. Correct. We're not gonna make any major decisions without people being able to have, at least I say, we may agree, we may not agree, but then we will have a say. And that's I think the best we can say. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that? I know Justine's new and, that's, you probably may have an opinion, but at this point, feel free. This is an open conversation. And I mean that from the superintendent.
I talk too much, Justin.
Me too, so that's good, but that's all right. But honestly, there are people that are sitting here that probably won't attend when we go to the public. And I get it,
And that's okay, similar to what we have with the schools.
That's
Everybody has
right.
a different risk
Yeah,
factor.
yeah.
And so it's similar to,
Correct.
going remote
Correct.
for your student.
Yes. So anybody have any other input they want to add? No? Okay.
Or two.
We have somebody on a call.
Yeah, we do have a call. Well, Matt, do you want to go to
Can
a
we talk
call?
about the snow days quick, or
Oh, sure.
talk about it after?
Yeah, let's go to
Let's go to the call and then we'll
Okay.
go.
Okay, yeah.
I just don't want to forget.
When you're ready, Matt.
Okay, please stand by. And caller, you are live.
Hello?
Good evening. If you could just state your name and district of residency, would be appreciated.
Sure. My name's Diane Leverrier. And was there any other information I had to give? I didn't hear it.
No, that's it. What school district you live in. Other than that, that's it.
Oh, sure. Yes. Okay. Diane Leverrier. I'm with the East Hampton School District. I'm the parent of a 6th grader and a 5th grader. So I have one in the middle school now and one in 5th grade. And, I just want to first say that I really appreciate everything you all are doing to, keep our kids in school, balancing that with safety concerns. And I know it's not an easy task. I think this is probably the second board meeting that I've ever listened to. And listening to everything that you have to deal with right now, I just really appreciate everything that you're doing. That said, I know that you guys have proposed sending out surveys to each of the, I guess each of the principals is going to be sending out surveys to each of their schools. And because there was a discussion had at the last meeting with regard to the potential for having kids return to school 5 days a week, will those surveys be inquiring of parents whether they're going to opt into the current hybrid situation or whether they plan on opting in to a 5 day a week plan in the middle school and the high school, or opting out?
What we're going to do at first, the first step in the building block is to see who is going to be remote. So it's primarily designed for that. So once we can figure out who is going to be remote, then we understand the numbers in terms of who would like in person. Right. And we're going to do our best.
I think she's asking if, you know, am I judging this on being a hybrid and then opting out, or am I judging it on being 5 days a week? Because there's going to be a different decision being made there. And I get that. I mean, that may be something.
Yeah, that's just like.
We might have to send out another survey if we decide to go 5 days. We might have to see. There might be more people that want to opt out at that point.
Yeah, and I think that's something we can tackle, I think, when we get closer to doing that. Because I got to be honest with you, I don't see that happening tomorrow. It's not something.
So not going to happen in the next quarter.
Right.
Or in the trimester for the elementary.
We're looking at January.
Nothing's changed.
We're looking at it in January. Listen, we're on an uptick at this point too. So we had one conversation 2 weeks ago, and now we're having yet another one that's similar, but the circumstances have changed. So we have to take that into account. But it's a very valid question.
Yes. Perhaps, James, could you tackle that in terms of, you know, when you ask for remote learning, it's hard to judge what in person will look like.
I think you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, that's the whole thing. We can't make any plans unless we have a better idea of who's not going to be here.
And I think right now you have to base your decision on being hybrid. That's where we are, I think.
Right.
And if we're going to go to 5 days, I think we have to give people another option.
That's not happening until next January.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
If I may just comment here. You know, I've spoken with many parents and obviously had to make these considerations myself. And I know that there's a difference between the considerations that parents will make for a hybrid model, which seems safer, versus a 5 day plan. So whatever the survey is, I think that's going to be sent out to the parents. I think it needs to be, I think because maybe more parents would opt out if it was a 5 day plan. I don't know. But I think that in order to determine the number of people who will in fact opt in or opt out, they need to know what they're opting in or opting out for.
We don't know if we're ever going to be able to do a 5 day a week. So at this point, it has to really be a choice between going full remote or continuing the hybrid.
But we should just say that in our survey, that's all.
Right, and then we'll have to reevaluate if and when we can do a 5 day.
Right.
Because you can't can't make a decision based on something that may or may not ever happen.
And in practicality, it seems to me that if it went to the point where we were even considering doing a 5 day, you give those people you give the people an option to opt out, if they didn't in the first
place. We have to readdress it. And I think the point is too is when the survey goes out, it should spell out. Right now we're hybrid because we've talked about a lot of scenarios, so that way people are not confused. Right now you're opting out of a hybrid scenario and not a full-time scenario.
Right.
But any survey that's to go out, I think such as James's did the other day and Charlie's to soon follow, is for the second quarter and the second quarter only. So any discussions that have been had are really for the third quarter. So basically the next survey, could take that into account, and probably should, because that would allow.
Well, James was going to do a 20-week though.
Yeah, what I could say is that if there was a decision by the board to go forward with any change, I would have no problem sending something out and giving people the ability to opt out if they wanted to. So I don't think that's an issue. I think the first step is finding out the numbers, which will then dictate the plan. And then based off the plan, I mean, I would only expect the numbers could go up, which would not be a complicating factor. It would actually would make things easier if we were bringing students back. So if someone is on the fence about that or has a concern, I think we can accommodate that if their decision would change based on the model that we go with.
Well, and that makes sense because the elementary school is already at the 5 days, so they know if they're making their decision based on the middle school. We're not there yet. So it's the same scenario for middle and high school, but that makes sense. Does that answer your question, Diane?
A question for you, just on the elementary school. Just a question on the elementary school for 1 second, because I recall we've had this conversation before, and there's a limit to how many kids can come back to the elementary school full time and still be 5 days. I remember conversations we had earlier. If there's a big shift to in-person learning, they may need to think about 4 days a week to accommodate it. 5. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jackie, you're right on. Absolutely right. We have a limit to 16 or 17 students that ensures social distancing. But once we get past 17, 18 students, we can't accommodate on a day basis.
Right. I just wanted to confirm that. And I have to say, I thought that the caller's question was very, very useful. I hadn't even thought about that. So
Not either.
It was very useful to have that input. Thank you.
If we hit that limit.
Well,
Everybody going to 100. What are the other?
It just means everybody would move to a 4-day.
Right, be a 4-day work in the elementary.
Yes.
There's so many moving parts, it gets confusing.
Yeah.
So. Any other questions? Are you okay?
No, I'm good.
Great. Thank you for calling. Good question.
Thank you.
Have you any other caller?
We actually have one more caller.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, folks. Just give me a minute.
No problem. Take your time.
And caller, you are live.
Caller, if you could just state your name and district of residency, please.
Good evening. This is Rachel Cooper, and I'm an East Hampton resident.
Go ahead.
Hi. I just wanted to reiterate how much I appreciate all the work that the board is putting into bringing our children back to school safely, and just all the work that's been done with the current recent cases that have emerged with the high school. I just wanted to make 2 comments. One was regarding the surveying and just maybe a request, because I have students in both the middle school and the high school. It would be very helpful when we send out the parent surveys, just to follow on to what the previous caller said, if we can align on what the questions are. So for example, like that, even if we're asking, is your preference to come back full days? Is your preference to remain hybrid? Is your preference to remain remote? Just so we have clarity and consistency when we're looking at that. That's like the first suggestion. And then just to follow on to the conversation we had 2 weeks ago regarding the space allocation, if I understood Mr. Crenshaw correctly, we had said like there was not any way to configure the high school to bring all the students back. And I know we're going to kind of pull these 200 families that are currently in the remote to see who wants to remain remote versus those that want to come back in the school. And the thing that we had also talked about was, the opportunity to maybe look at other spaces. So, are we going to continue to look at potentially using other spaces? And if so, is there a checklist or criteria that's required from New York State and the Board of Education that says these are the things that we need to solve for in terms of solutioning additional space? So, is it an administrator needing to be on site, a nurse being on site? Like, what is that criteria? Is that something that you have or can share with us?
Yeah.
Adam, why don't you take this, please?
Yeah. Great question. Rachel, so, we're actually in talks with a few tent companies and an additional portable company, both of which, because of the sizes of them and the type of buildings they are, all of that goes through our architect and through the New York State Education Department. And like you just said, yes, this has to have a fire alarm. You have to have certain type of egress. You have to have certain type of accessibility. The architect and I are supposed to touch base again tomorrow. So and they have to be approved by SED. So it is everything, all of the above. You have to have pathways for snow if it's snowing out. It's very kind of strict, as opposed to we're getting a trailer for the tent for the testing location that we're using, and because that's not for students, we don't have to do anything. We just pop it in the parking lot and it's good to go. But all these other things do have those specific things. Like you said, electricity, certain amount of electricity. You have to have a bathroom, a certain type of chemical bathroom that has to be in there, or you have to tap into your own sewage system. So yes, all of those things are out there.
Even need, I know.
Thank you. And then just to follow on to that with the other, like just creative thinking around the spacing and locations. I know I had mentioned Most Holy Trinity being used by the Sagaponic School District. That was a full-blown school. So it had bathrooms, it has classrooms, it has tons of space, right? But that's already occupied. I know we had talked about CDCH not being up to code, right, and some improvements being necessary there. But is there other, space like the library or other town-owned spaces, like things at the airport, where you've got lots of square footage that could be perhaps leveraged?
Rachel,
SED will never allow it.
There's several things that kind of prohibit you. And what I'll say is you have staffing issues. You also have, yes, it was a school, it was Most Holy Trinity, so it's a private school, a parochial school. They have different guidelines and criteria. Once we become either the tenant or the owner, everything changes. And if you could just see the time that it would take to get a permit for it, it takes a long time, frankly. And on top of that, staffing is an issue. And when you look at what we've got going on now with having a rise uptick in cases, there are school districts on Long Island that we talked about last time that we had the meeting that are closed, not because of just students, their staff is quarantined. So now they're sort of put off on a whole another level. They can't staff the building. So, and it's I'm going to say this and hope it's true. It's a short-term issue. Yes, it's very right on our seniors, and our juniors are really being impacted heavily by it. But at the same time, I'm hoping it's only a year, 2 years. I mean, we're already almost a year into it, so it impacted 2 grade levels, essentially last year's senior class and last year's 11th grade, which is now our seniors.
It would take us 2 years to get
approval. Yeah, it really would.
But I believe somebody's also using the building already.
Yeah, they are. They are. And that's the thing. And if you went into that, there's a few different things. And listen, I don't know how other districts are using a district that's a building that's not in their school district, because last I knew, we can't like go to Wainscott and use the CDCH building. We can't use it because it's not in our district.
We actually looked into that.
We did several times. Exactly.
And actually, we looked into that space for the bus barn.
Correct.
And we couldn't even put the bus barn at the charter school location because it was out of our district.
Correct. Just a lot of moving parts. Rachel, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
I just wanted to say thank you for listening, and I appreciate the partnership.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you for calling. I'm sorry we can't always, say yes, let's just do it, because I think all of us, and the part of the survey, truly the part of the survey, listen, there's nobody here that I don't think wants to see our kids back full time. I think that wall is like coming at us. We're trying to hold it on a safety level more than anything.
Right.
I mean, if we can have it full time, it's like, I wish I could turn around and be like, okay, everything's back to normal. We're good.
Right.
But
things are not normal.
They're not normal. They're way out. But thank you very much for calling.
Thank you.
Matt, do we have any other callers?
We have one more on your command.
Go ahead.
And caller, you are live.
If you could just take your name and your presidency, please.
Yeah.
If you could turn your TV
earlier.
in the background. There is a little delay.
Yeah. Conrad Jordan.
Okay, go ahead.
And East Hampton School District. And I heard you discussing earlier that you were concerned about how to have a meeting where people could participate and it could still be safe. And I think you mentioned you had a large space. And I was wondering, do you have the capacity? You know, when you go to the U.S. Open, you know, before you walk in the stadium, you can watch the match outdoors. Do you have the capacity to either have a screen or at least a loudspeaker outside where people could be following the meeting and then come in either groups of 3 or 4 or whatever you thought was a safe amount?
That could certainly be an option.
You know, and comment.
We're trying to kind of not do that and have everybody be in person. But at the same time, that, you know, we'd have people sleeping in the parking lot. They'd be bored to death. But we could try. We could try. I mean, I'm open. We're open to any suggestions, honestly.
Right.
You know, I mean, we're just talking about it out loud. Thank you for, you know, actually bringing that up, because that is, I mean, that's how we did our graduation. It was done by big screens and people talking. So it's possible. It's possible. I think we have the space inside that we can do it safely. If we really think about it and are careful, I think we can do it. It's going to take some time.
Right. Well, you know, just depending on how many people, it just could be the safest thing is, you know, people can sort of wait outdoors and, you know, they would have the option, of course, to follow the meeting by listening with their cell phones. But if there was some sort of a, you know, a loudspeaker where they could hear everything that was being commented on before they went in, and then they went in, you know, smaller groups, that would be another way to do it where it would be, you know, ultra safe.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Matt, any more callers?
That is it right now, JP. Thank you.
All right.
So can we talk about the snow days
Yeah.
then? Because I know parents were asking because New York State did make some changes.
Yes.
So technically we no longer, now that we have remote, can have to do snow days.
Right, they gave us that option, yes.
But we have 4 days already. They did that after we already have 4 days built into the schedule for the year.
Correct.
So no matter what, the kids are still in school for 180 days. So we have 4 days that are now sort of free to either use as an actual snow day if it snows,
yes,
or as we had scheduled them, where if we didn't use snow days, the dates that we would be, because school runs through the end of June this year.
Yes, June 28th, correct.
So we would be taking, if no snow days are used, the district would be closed in the following order. First day, June 29th, second day, June 28th, third day, June 1st, fourth day, May 28th. So we were taking the last 2 days off at the end of the year, and then the shoulder to the Memorial Day weekend.
Correct. So Memorial Day would then be 5 days.
Right.
Yes.
So the district has the option of doing that or splitting that between allowing a snow day, because one of the comments from the parent perspective is these kids have had so much taken away from them, and sledding and going out and playing in the snow and things like that are outdoor things that they can actually do socially distanced outdoors. So some parents are wanting to have a snow day. And it's also like a mental health day at that point. I mean, we all know when it's snow day, you're like, yes.
And you know it's going to snow this year.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wanted to put it out there as a conversation.
Okay.
Ultimately, it's our decision what we do, but I do want it to be a conversation and us to be cognizant of, if we have 4 days, maybe if we do get 2 snow days in the beginning, you allow that to be a snow day, you know what I mean? And
allow 1 or 2 or something.
And then we have to modify the count.
It's better to have the end of the school year and that day than having to stay home, which you've been doing a lot of anyway. I wouldn't have an automatic snow day because it's boring. I'd rather give it when the weather is better so it can be outdoors.
But that's why I'm saying I think we should just ask for some input from the public, because we might have a even split, or we might have overwhelming, no, we want to get out earlier in June, let's work through the snow day. Or you might give them a snow day because it's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, look, I'd rather have, personally, I'd rather have 2 solid weeks off for Christmas, you know?
Pretty
I-
cool. No, we're not
Can't
doing
do
that.
that.
No,
Oh, we were doing that.
no, that was our, just, see, we already built the days in.
Okay,
No
all
days
right,
in.
I got it, okay.
So
Right.
it's like.
I agree with Jackie, because that's
Yeah,
that
like
time of
a weekend,
year.
yeah.
That's a critical time of year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We'll be going through
Right.
people traveling, and it's 2 weeks, it's an automatic quarantine for everyone, it's sort of like.
I mean, I'd rather have an extended Christmas break. I mean, honestly, with the snow day issue, like, you know, so take your kid, if your kid wants to go sledding, so go sledding at 2:30, you know, I mean, I don't know.
Right, that's exactly what I said earlier.
Go at 11 o'clock.
Okay, well, we'll be in discussion.
Yeah.
We have a little time to think on that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
but if anybody wants to weigh in, you know.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
You heard.
Absolutely. Everyone has a different priority.
Yeah.
Anything else under new business?
So I just want to say, you know, we just had this horrific contentious election. And we don't know the results, but I'm pretty proud of the number of people who came out and voted one way or the other. And the fact that it all got pulled off safely. And I think every vote is going to count, and I'm glad to see that happen.
How was it here?
And I'd like to give a compliment to Carrie.
Good job, Karen.
Carrie, you know, got our trailer outside. So we were able to use this room and part of the library. Those were the only 2 spaces.
Right.
And knowing that we were having a board meeting tonight, we did a deep clean here. Thank you to the custodial staff. We're doing that, disinfecting, and I think we took care of business and allowed I was here a few times. I know Keith was here too. There was quite a healthy crowd coming in. So,
I voted.
yep. Thank you.
That's it, all right. Anybody else have a comment? We good? Matt, no more callers, we're good?
No more calls, JP. Thank you.
All right, let's go quick.
I make a
We have a
motion.
motion to adjourn,
I make a motion.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
JP, I just have one.
Okay, no problem.